Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 26 of Material Issues. Oh my God, how did we get to 26 episodes? I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records, and joining me, as always, my very good friend from the International Pop Overthrow Festival. Please give a warm welcome to David Bash.
Good afternoon, Mark. Well, good afternoon here in California. 26 episodes. That's half a year, folks.
Half a year.
It's insane, huh?
How'd that happen? I don't know. What went by like that? How you feeling? How you feeling tonight, my friend?
I'm very much looking forward to heading to New York tomorrow. Rena will be joining me for the New York leg of International Pop Overthrow. Looking forward to the 20 great acts that we'll have at Arlene's Grocery from Friday through Sunday. We, if you happen to be in the greater New York area, we really hope to see you there. I'm sure a lot of you haven't been to any shows since the pandemic. Some of you may have been to a few, but nothing like this one. I guarantee it. It'll be a lot of fun, and I'm excited.
That starts Thursday?
Or Friday? No, it's Friday night.
Friday night.
At 7:00. And then we have Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and Sunday afternoon. So four shows at Arlene's Grocery this afternoon. Then the following weekend, we're in Boston at a new venue called Flying Embers. And the following week in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, at a great place called the Casbah. And I called to the COVID gods to spare me, especially when I'm up in Canada and have to have a negative COVID test. So,
I hear the borders between Canada and U.S. have opened up easier for travel from the U.S. into Canada. It's just for Canadians to come this way might be a little more difficult. But
that may be easier also.
Yeah. Plus, they said around the 21st they're coming out with new rules or whatnot, which could make it even more lenient because everybody's been arguing over the fact that, Americans and Canadians like to cross over the border to do shopping and things, and it's hurting the economy right on the border towns.
Hopefully they won't require the COVID test. I have my Vax card, so we're all good there.
Good.
So anyway, but that's 2 weeks in the future. In the present, we have a very special guest tonight, and I'll tell you, this guy's resume is about as fat as Oliver Hardy. I didn't even mean to say Oliver. That's so weird. That must have. I swear to God, that must have been unconscious. My unconscious mind operating. But yeah, he's done so many things. Obviously, an actor for many, many years, most notable as a child actor, but he still does from time to time, including playing the bus driver in the recent film Sharknado, voiceover actor, musician extraordinaire. The guy can play just about anything. He has set the record for most bands played at IPO in 1 year, 12. I think that was back in 99. He's a producer. He's about the most outrageous guy that I know well. And what hasn't he done except maybe dunk a basketball? That's about it. Would you please give a huge welcome to the one, the only, the estimable Mr. Robbie Rist?
Well, Robbie's going to try to wave to us here. See if the connection's working good.
Uh-oh.
And if it's not, Robbie, if you can hear us, go in, come out, come on back in, whatever you need to do.
I'm here. Are you there?
We're here.
We're here.
We see you.
We're here.
We're just kind of frozen.
All right, now you look better.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Well, we did. All of a sudden,
I hear you. We sometimes see you. Maybe get closer to your router.
There we go.
What I can do.
I think.
Let's see what I can do.
Let's see if
I'm listening.
Let's see.
Robbie. I may have to be outside. That's fine though. I'll see how that goes.
It's all good. See, you
get to see the rest of the place.
We get to see the Rist Manor.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the lack of wrist manners. Okay, wait. Are we getting better? Are we getting better?
Still
No,
choppy.
The video's the
Still
choppy,
choppy.
but we're here. Wait,
Well, it might
we'll
be
give you
better.
time.
Because you guys are a little choppy too. But how
All
about
right.
now?
Let's see. Sit down and see what you say. Say hello, everybody. I'm.
How we looking? Hi, my name is Rob. I want to be your friend.
There we go.
Yeah?
Better.
I think it might be
Yes?
better.
All right.
A little
Yeah.
choppy, but
All right.
better, definitely.
Choppy. That describes me perfectly.
Choppy and better. Robbie, welcome to Material Issues. Thank you for
Thank you for
joining
having
us tonight. We are excited, as were a lot of comments on the Facebook group. Excited for what Robbie may get himself into or out of.
They just want trouble. I don't want trouble. I'm a peace-loving guy.
You are. You just misunderstood.
I am very misunderstood. That's fine, though. You know, I mean, look at ask Jesus. You know what I mean? It's just how it is.
Well, as you see the comments,
that's obviously. I think I know who sent that message.
The comments are already coming in. Who's this guy?
Well, this guy, I want to try something here. I want to try a Chevy Chase Richard Pryor thing. Word association. I'll say a word. I'll say one word, and you give me one word back. The first one that comes to mind.
All right.
The Beatles.
Dead honky. Oh, wait.
Well, there are a couple of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, okay. And it has to only be one word. That's so hard. You know. How about this? Fine.
Okay.
McCartney.
Oh.
The devil incarnate.
And that's one word. The devil incarnate.
Yeah, it is.
We'll take it.
Yeah, the thing is, I can't reduce it to one.
Oliver.
Legacy.
Michelangelo.
Hell of a church maker.
Nice. I like
Andersons.
that.
Oh, brothers. I miss those. I miss doing that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I miss doing that thing a lot. Every once in a while, whatever in my YouTube feed or whatever, something will, come up having to do with that thing. And it was something that I really wanted to do as an old retired guy. And, things turned out the way they did. But yeah, to this day, I still go, that was, I've played with a lot of really terrific people in the time that I've been doing this, but I really feel like for anybody who saw it, I think they'd agree that it was a pretty special thing.
It was. It's been a pleasure to see the Andersons so many times.
It's a funny thing about the I don't know, we're back to that word, the legacy of our little pop thing that happened in the 90s there is that everybody, all the scenes that had come before, they, labels came in and they scooped up all the bands and then the scene disappeared because all the bands got scooped up and there was no more talent there. And that's just sort of the way it kind of worked around the world. When it started happening with our thing, very few of us, if any, got any sort of major attention, but many of them ended up being artists who assisted the people whose records they bought originally. So Derek playing with the Bangles, Dave Jenkins and Jim Laspiso playing with Dave Davies and Love and Brian Wilson. So many of us sort of, I think the way, if anybody ever discovers all of this stuff, and I sure hope they do, because I think there was a lot of really good stuff that was made. If anybody ever discovers this stuff, it's going to be interesting to kind of go, wow, how do I explain this? When I first got the Nuggets box set, I kind of went through all the liner notes and I was like, what? Wait, Rick Derringer was in a bit and this guy played in this thing. And I think it's going to be something similar where people are going to be like, whoa, yes, the Smithereens. I think there's going to be a thing of like, oh, these guys, there's going to be a hell of a connect the dots game that they'll be able to play.
Two more. Two more. Power pop.
Oh, that was it. How about heartbreaking? That's good.
Yeah. And finally, Allie.
Oh, no this without that. I know it's a lot of words, but that's how it is.
No, I mean, that was the best move you've ever made in your life, Rob.
Oh,
Robbie, was
are you
marrying
kidding
her.
me? Of course. I agree completely.
And I say the same thing about my wife too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. No. I mean, look, it's funny that we managed to find, women who are tolerant of boy men.
I'll own that.
Yeah, you
It's
too.
true. It's like really, in what other universe are David and I gonna get girls? That's just ridiculous, So
We've all said that.
mostly when we say words like power pop, they tend to sort of like, you can almost see their thighs fused together.
Even when they don't.
Even when they don't.
Even when we don't.
But when you talk about heartache, Robbie, let me ask you something though, because when I listen to a lot of your material, whether it's your solo stuff that you do or with all the bands and things, you do have a penchant for some pretty good nostalgic, heartache, heartbreak type songs, and you're very emotive with those songs. Your voice changes a bit, and I find some of them are very, very good. And I mean, it's something you obviously know about.
I'm a kid of the 70s, really.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't develop a taste, probably. I mean, I guess I always had a taste, but there came a certain point where I started looking back at, like, why do I like these things? Why do I like these things? And I describe a lot that the people around my age, our age, we're part of what I refer to as the melancholy generation, in that a lot of the material, both musical, movies, books, a lot of things were about a certain kind of melancholy and sadness. I say this a lot, that the Sid and Marty Krofft had Land of the Lost, Lidsville, H.R. Pufnstuf, which are 3 television shows that are about children that can't go home. And there is nothing on television like that now, at least not aimed at kids. And so I think melancholy just comes really easy to me. And I was a melancholy kid. I mean, part of I saw the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman movie as a 4-year-old or something, and it's a very melancholy story about a guy who's just never going to be able to get close to anybody. And for some reason, at 4, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So I think, and also it's way easier to be sad in the song than it is to be happy. I think happy is a really weird line to walk on, because what makes one person happy doesn't necessarily make the other person happy, but everybody is sad. Everybody can listen to something sad and go, oh hell yeah, me too.
That's interesting. I mean, now I understand where my sense of nostalgia comes from. You just psychoanalyze before I have to send you a check for it. But you're absolutely right. H.R. Pufnstuf and the Land of the Lost, all about those kids that couldn't go home. And here's wonder.
Here's partially why. I think part of the reason it's in all of that material in the 70s, if you think that youth culture was cranking along in the 60s, and then around 1969, about the time that everybody, like all the pop stars, start dying, as well as all the kids overseas, once that starts happening, the man really just stamped his foot down on their throat and said, all right, that's close enough. It was cute for a while. And I think there was a whole bunch of disaffected art students that were going to college at the time, and they got out of college and they moved to Los Angeles or New York or what have you, and they got jobs, and on some of those jobs, I doubt the Krofft brothers really had their finger on the pulse of what youth culture was all about, but they were like, look, your youth culture, make what you know. And so that's why, first off, H.R. Pufnstuf, we'll start there. But then there's this obvious drug joke, but underneath it is this story about kids that have lost their way.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever on that program?
Sorry?
Were you on that program ever?
I never did that one. I was on there was a thing called the Croft Super Show.
Oh, yeah.
And I was on an episode, I think I was on an episode of Magic Mongo, which ran for a little bit. Yeah. So, and I'm fairly sure I did a Wonder Bug. So, yeah.
Oh, Lord, if you told me you were the voice of Henry Cabot Henhouse III on Super Chicken, I would have really been impressed. But
no. Wait, wasn't that's he was on Hollywood Squares, Charlie Weaver, wasn't it?
Charlie
Oh,
Weaver.
wow.
Yeah. And
it might have been.
Super Chicken was the best because they were always, his super sauce was with no superpower. It was just the sauce. It was a martini that made him feel. That's the best cartoon on the planet.
That's so 60s, isn't it? Like cartoon characters for kids that smoke and drink. Like, what? Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Of Hollywood Squares, I'll never forget Paul Lynde in the center square and Peter Marshall's asking him, true or false? When you get older, you lose an inch. And he said, where? And the stuff he could get away with was awesome.
There is a way. It's funny that around that time, I think what was innocent and what was can you hear me still with the going on?
Yeah.
Where the innocent and the adult kind of peacefully coexisted. I think that's kind of one of the central themes of Almost Famous, is that, here's this world of adult concerns, but you have 14-year-old girls running around taking their clothes off, and somehow nobody calls the police. where now it's just, and I think the reason why is that there was still innocence and adult stuff, and then around the 80s it all became about the adult stuff, and so now there is no I think the innocence period for children has got to be painfully short at this point, because just by clicking the wrong one of dad's open windows on his Google Chrome, you might be in for an education that you weren't ready for.
Or dad might be hauled away.
Yeah.
Dad might be in for an education himself. I've seen that stuff.
No time. We all learned a lot of things. So it's a really I think it's why it's so hard to be a stand-up comic today, because back in the 70s, I don't think humor was weaponized.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is now. It is now that someone will make a joke about something, and there will be someone in the audience that goes, "Oh, people talk that way now? Great! I'm going to go try that out on everybody."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it used to be kind of, comics were sort of ciphers for what people, I don't know, were feeling, and they just weren't gonna, like, I'm not gonna say that,
Yep. And now it's just too many people are woke.
Well, in every possible way.
In every possible way. It's I don't know.
It's gonna take a while. Look, we opened Pandora's box by allowing everyone a voice.
Yeah.
We allowed everyone on the planet a voice, which is fine, but it's going to take, basically what they did is they took a very large rock and threw it into a still pond. And those ripples are going to go out for a bit, and they're going to hit the edges, and they're going to come back this way. And it's going to be doing this for a while. And, unfortunately, probably lots of people are going to die in the meantime. But, hey, you've got to break a few eggs. You're going to make an omelet, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Or they get canceled. Yeah, don't get me started on cancel culture, please.
The crazy thing about the cancel culture thing is, in some cases, you got to point out a douchebag, and then in other cases, the douchebag's going to bite back, and here we are.
No, but that's the idea. I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in pointing out the douchebags and letting people know this is what you need to avoid for the rest of your life.
But the thing is, that's very subjective. It could be. That could be. Definitely what I would like to see happen, apparently, is not what at least a certain part of the populace is not for. So, I believe we're living like in I really feel like, and this goes maybe back to the melancholy generation thing, but I really feel like I'm seeing the final season of everything.
Mm.
I saw the final season of music. I talked to, I'm playing, one of the people I'm playing with right now is this guy named Buzz Click, who was the lead guitar player in this great poppy punky band from LA called the Rubber City Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Their first record was produced by Doug Feiger, the Knack.
Yep.
And, he tells me stories about, how it was at that time, 1978 through 81 in Los Angeles. And even at our IPO-ish best, that it doesn't feel like it even came remotely close to what Buzz experienced. And I caught maybe the tail end of that. And I feel over the course of my life, every decade, I watched the tail end of television. I watched the tail end of decency and smart people and culture. I've watched the death of film. I've watched really the death and resurgence to a certain level of art. Even though we're never going to be, once again they threw the rock. We're just seeing where we're all going to land, and I guess it's just another thing.
You question what
subjectivity, though. I mean, in the late, you talk about subjectivity, though. In the late 70s, our brains, our mind were wired completely differently than they are now. So there's no way to evaluate it through the same lens.
No, well, of course not. Although, you can, because it just means that there is no innocence anymore. That the belief that you could, there's sort of a cartoonishness maybe that is gone from existence, where you didn't think about making a living from being a something. You were Mickey Mantle. Mm-hmm. The fact that Mickey Mantle made money at all playing baseball was incidental to the people who admired him. And I don't know if that complete innocent attachment can exist in the world that we live in.
When you take,
there's too much information. That's true.
And when you take away so much that we, the three of us in our age group or whatnot, experienced and lived through and appreciated and loved, when you start taking away all those elements, like you talk about art and music and film and TV, and you see the death of it, or you see the waning of it. And then you have the generation today, my daughter's 26 or 27, 23, the younger generation, they don't know what they're missing. Therefore,
but also the concerns are different. I mean, the new heroes, our niece is dating this guy who I'm going to say he makes a nice living, but it's more than that. He makes a very nice living playing video games online while people watch him and comment. And that's where that's what I mean about a lot of it going away. Rock music specifically is destined for the land of jazz. I'm surprised that it's really not there yet, where it's kind of a heritage thing and not a living, breathing entity anymore. And for no other reason than the attention isn't on it. There's way too many other things to take your attention away, I guess.
Hey, my, rock and roll will never die.
Well, it won't, but it'll definitely sort of move it. Like, ever see a sloth out of a tree trying to cross the street? Similar.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of rock and roll and music and not dying, what has kept you busy during the pandemic? I know I was over on your Bandcamp page, which is robbierist.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
And there were some, you were talking about a number of the first tracks you see there, a lot of great covers.
I thought when lockdown happened, I went, I'm not doing anything. And I don't, there was no voiceover. There was very little anything. Everybody was just kind of home. So everybody just loves the Beatle joke.
We did that, John. Where were you?
Here's the funny thing about it is they're so triggered by it because they're the Trump supporters of music. Because see, their little tin gods can do no wrong. Everything is gold, no matter what. I'm like, Old Brown Shoe is a hunk of shit, and people will be like, "What are you nuts?" And I'm like, dude, why don't we just like scale it back, because it was really just 4 dudes and pieces of wood. So let's, okay. So all of the, swear to God, Trump supporters of music. Only people worse, Monkees fans. Monkees fans are horrible, horrible people. And I don't mean all of them. I mean, I think you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Well,
so all of that said, I was like, I'm not doing anything, and I really don't have the sort of emotional, intestinal fortitude to start writing a whole bunch of new songs. And I've been talking about doing, like I have a list of cover songs that I've been wanting to do forever. And so I started doing them. So like, it's everything. There's a guy named Tim Minchin who isn't even he's not even a rock guy at this point. He writes songs.
Californication.
Yeah, right. And
that's what I've learned about him. He's great.
Yeah. Oh, he's one of my favorite songwriters. He's really, really great. So he had this really funny satirical song called "Thank You God" that's like 6.5 minutes long, and I was like, well, it seems like it might take up a little time. So, and I played everything on it. So it's Joel Valder mixed it, pretty rad. But so anyway, so there's a bunch of stuff. I just released a Parthenon Huxley song today.
Double your numbers, yeah.
Yeah, there's a Utopia song up there, a Material Issue song that I think I improved. There's anyway, so yeah, I've been doing that, and I'm trying to write, and I'm just like, it's funny, cover songs, no problem. I'm writing songs with Anthony Ferrante for his new cowboy movie, no problem. When it comes to writing my own stuff, like the imposter syndrome kicks in, and like there's this little guy sitting in a chair in my head going, yeah, why? Tell me, does anyone care? No one cares. And I'm like, can you shut up? I'm trying to write it. No, go ahead, write. It's fine.
Let's see what you got.
Yeah, and so that's going painfully slow. But yeah, I have one more Martin Briley song to finish, and then are you guys aware of Fear of the Unknown?
No.
Of course not. See, because you guys have to.
Oh, we lost you
already. I understand. Oh, you guys have to. You have to buy records of which you already have 15 copies. So, but next time you see it, it's called "Fear of the Unknown" by Martin Briley. Pick it up. Look, I'll even get like half of your audience excited by saying he does a song that was later covered by the Monkees. Oh, so yeah. The Fear of the Unknown. It's so great. And so apparently he had written a hit song for Ian Hunter or something in the late 70s, and he had all these songs that he had lying around, and the A&R guy was like, hey, you had a big hit, we'll give you a record to do. And he gave him all of his demos, and he went, no one's going to buy this. Briley was like, I don't know.
Well, Martin Briley was in Liverpool Echo, and for that.
Yeah, Liverpool Echo is great. And also he had a duo for a while too that was really good. Yeah.
And speaking of which, where'd you pull the Elton Duck song?
The Elton Duck song.
I've been
a fan of Elton Duck since I was a kid. I mean, they were a club band in '79, whatever, when I started playing in clubs. And every one of those songs is gold, and it's hilarious. Their story, they get signed, and in the year that it takes them to, get their record finished, Knacklash kicks in. And all of a sudden, this is a period of my life where I'm like, what do you mean it's going away? I just got here. And that was, again, I witnessed the death of everything. Maybe I've Cousin Olivered existence. That's what I'm thinking.
Now, do you have tracks that bounce around your head constantly? I mean, are you listening?
What do you mean?
Are you hearing music in your head all the time? You are. Yeah, I saw you on the 100. 147 Inches of Love tour when you and Kenny came this direction. And one of the funniest things was when you do Stump the Band and people yell things out, and somehow the two of you could pull out lyrics and chords and make it sound like, and they're like, Jesus, how do they know that? So I mean, you basically have an encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of great pop rock songs.
It's a combination of things. Yes. I mean, I've been, whenever it came time to do cover songs in original bands that I was in, I would bring in songs that they'd be like, no one's going to know this is a cover song because it sounds like nobody knows who this is. And I'm like, yeah, but it's great. So it's always kind of, wait, what was the question again?
I'm just saying, you have an encyclopedic knowledge of this stuff.
So I learned a lot of songs, and I've had my 70s cover thing for a bunch of years, and so I've always been kind of learning material, but also I have a certain amount of just math music. Music is number relationships. So if I know what key you're in,
hence the math shirt I wore today.
See, it is music. If somebody would have told me actually as a kid that music was largely math, I probably wouldn't have wanted to be a musician. Yeah. But as I've gotten older, I'm really like, holy Jesus, this is really about. Yeah. I basically know a bunch of the number relationships, so I can fake it fairly well. Kenny is very similar. Kenny Howes has a degree in music. I mean, the guy probably knows significantly more than I do and plays it all better. And he's taller.
And he's taller, yeah. I was trying to do the math with just the inches. I couldn't figure it out. I figured he's taller, you're shorter. It's all good.
I'm the whatever it is. I'm the smaller number.
One of the songs I think that communicates that heartache and angst that Mark was talking about, one of the ones you cover very well in that vein is Run, Joey, Run.
Oh,
you can really hear it from you.
I was just talking about that piece of aside from it scaring the crap out of me when I was 12, and also do you know about his follow-up single, right?
A Blind Man in the Bleachers.
Blind Man in the Bleachers is actually even more devastating than Run, Joey, Run.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah, hilarious. Hello, sir. It's hilarious. But Run, Joey, Run. Okay, well, first off, Run, Joey, Run, for those who don't know, is a song about a guy who gets a call from his underage girlfriend in the middle of the night. And her father has just found out that they've done it. And so he's freaking out, and the kid does maybe the dumbest move actually of the song. He drives over to her house, where he is met on the lawn by the girl running toward him, and the dad showing up, and he's armed, and the dad fires the gun, and the girl takes the bullet. And I mean, the first time I was just like. The first time I heard it, I was like, she because also angels go, right? And you're just like, oh, she's dying and going up to heaven where little girls go when their dad shoots them. So so that one's great. And it modulates like for guys who like David, you don't really play. So like playing Run, Joey, Run is harder than playing Tom Sawyer. the rock guys the Rush guys can say all they want about that song, but Run, Joey, Run is way harder to play. And then his follow-up single, The Blind Man in the Bleachers, is about a third string football player who will never play, and his dad is blind. And how do you work all of this into a song? It's genius. So he's blind, and he sits right underneath the speaker of the stadium, waiting to hear his kid's name. And the first chorus is, it's the last game of the season on a Friday night at home, and no one knows the reason why the blind man didn't come.
I love it.
And
That's
so
awesome.
And so in the middle of the song there, it's halftime, and they're losing, and I can't even talk about it without crying. The kid is on the phone, and he's late coming back to the game. And the coach goes, "Where the hell have you been?" He says, "Where the hell have you been?" in the song. And the kid goes, "I've been getting ready for the second half," and he runs in and he wins the game. And then the coach asks him why. And the last line of the song is, "Well, you know, my dad was blind," he said. "Tonight he passed away. It's the first time that my father's seen me play."
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta go to the bathroom quick.
And you wonder why I turned out the way I did? Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Heartbreaking.
Well, I mean,
and I can't listen to it enough. You know what else I can't listen to enough? "Joey" by Concrete Blonde, which is a song about a woman sitting at home knowing that her alcoholic boyfriend might have died and she's forgiving him. And like, you know what? After that, Sugar Sugar just don't ring the same way, you know?
Oh shit, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
But,
I love you, girl. Why am I stuck with my sweater on? I mean,
Well, Robbie, tell me something about Quint. I'm not that familiar with Quint. I listened to the holiday music today, which was wonderful. And again, you've got, what is that? "Baby Stick Around" and "Love Is," nothing heartache, tugging on that kind of thing. Those lyrics and songs at all either.
Yeah.
But
although there's perfectly positive ones.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Quint is me and Anthony C. Ferrante, who is the director of the Sharknado movies, and mostly these Quint songs are all products of his movies. And so he makes a movie, and he's a low budget film director, so he can't afford the licensing on real songs, so he calls me to make fake ones. And yes, Miles. And so he
Miles.
So yeah, he's right here. So and then he goes, "I want to do a song that is called this, and it sounds like this," and then we do it. And so we've got and it's all over the board. Like, a lot of the Sharknado stuff is pretty punky and rocky, and we did a zombie. He did a zombie movie called Zombie Tidal Wave. And Anthony's a genius. Anyway, so Zombie Tidal Wave has actually a very beautiful love song in it called "As Long as You're With Me." There's a movie he did about a girl with amnesia and a stalker, and there's a song called I forget. Anyway, there's I can do both. I even on the Zombie Tidal Wave song or movie, there's a song called "Meat Machine," which is kind of an AC/DC thing about a guy who beats people up for money. So, but of course I can't do this for myself. It's like I guess why genies can't waste the wishes on themselves. They have to do it with other people.
Makes no sense. But
it's why people become therapists. They can't fix their own crap. They're going to fix somebody else's.
Now on Quint, though, you're playing all the instruments. This is all
primarily,
you? Primarily,
it's me. Occasionally, I pull in. There's a guy named Joel Martin who's a multi-instrumentalist, really gifted dude. Find him, listen to his stuff, buy it. Don Frankel I use occasionally. He's a piano player and a guitar player with my 70s thing. And Joel Valder mixes a bunch of it. He also he plays on a fair amount of it too. But primarily it's sort of, I sit there and I put the thing together, and then Anthony and I work on the words, and we have some of it's, other things are like, I also did the theme song for, do you know who Mason Reese was?
Oh, yeah. Oh God, yeah. I'll do with chicken spread.
So Mason's been a friend of mine for a while now. We've been friends for a very long time. And so he did it's on YouTube. It's a show he did called Life Interrupted. He was trying to sell it as a possible pilot. So I did the theme song for that. I mean, for one of the Sharknado movies, I did a baseball song called "One Swing Away." It's about a batter who's he's going to hit the ball one more time and he's going to go home to his wife. He's going to pay for a windshield.
Did you what was I going to say? The holiday music you did with Quint, I was listening to today.
Yeah.
Are you a holiday music fan, the whole thing like that?
Well, no,
Because,
I mean, I'm a fan of the art of making them. I hate the humming.
yeah. To me, your voice is very different when you're singing. What are you singing? Yes, it's Christmas and almost Christmas Eve. I almost had to say, I don't think that's Robbie singing it, even though he said he sang that song.
Well, okay, some of it is Anthony singing.
But I think the two tracks you told me,
I'm on Mistletoe Sway.
Oh, Mistletoe Sway, that's it. That's very swing thing going on,
Yeah. I don't know, I mean, music is a form of acting.
Yes, it
right?
is. Yes,
so,
it is.
I mean, they called Robin Zander the man of 1,000 voices because, he approaches every song that he sings from a different period in the Beatles' career. He does.
Well, you got it. And you have
his Lennon voice, and he's got his Helter Skelter voice, and
and you, sir, I think everybody would agree that you have a very distinctive sound, and that's important in many ways. You have a.
David says I sound like Feargal Sharkey, and I'm like,
I did.
Oh yeah.
When did I do that in a review?
In a review,
I hear it.
It's not entirely off base, but I think you're the only person that ever said that.
No, it's
interesting.
Sure.
I love it.
I mean, maybe it's just sort of the quavery kind of high. I sing like a girl who's like on a ledge about to fall off.
Now, is it possible?
The Undertones career, I'll tell you.
Robbie, is it possible for you to produce somebody and not play on the album because they seem to pull you in onto a lot of things? Yeah,
it happens because I can, if you have an empty spot, I can fill it.
I know you can.
So the Reubenus at the time, when I worked with them, they didn't have a drummer really, so like it was and for me an opportunity to play with the Reubenus, but also I think on the Susie Los Quattro stuff, I don't think I'm on that. I think that's just them. Yeah, I mean, I can be if you're a completely self-contained band, I'd rather not.
Yeah. Well, check it out. Like it's scrolling across the bottom, RobbieRist.bandcamp.com. You can check out all this stuff, and that's what I was checking out. I was checking out like the Jeff Caudill stuff that you produced, and you start running through everything that's on there, and I start listening to things, and I'm loving everything. Then you look to see who played on stuff, and it's like, oh, Robbie played on this one, and he's got, and of course you are a multi-instrumentalist. You can play a lot of things, and that's pretty darn impressive and pretty.
I mean, I was a lonely kid. So I would sit in my room and I would, and I think this is a story that a lot of guys and gals can tell. I'm sitting there with my turntable and my guitar, and I'm listening to the first 10 seconds of Walk This Way, and I'm like, shit. Crap and a half, and eventually you get that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can go past to 20 seconds, and through that, and I'd fall in love with records, and I'd want to know what the code was. Why is it that there's things that Bert Navarre plays on that first Knack record that make me go, ooh, and every time I play like, a chimey kind of G chord thing, Bert Navarre is sitting on my shoulder. I mean, he's not very tall anyway, but he, everything. If you listen to like just the isolated track of anything I've ever done, you could go, oh, that's from Clem Burke. Oh, that's from the guy in Elvis Costello. Oh, that's because that's really all it. I'm just aping all of these other people who played it better than me.
I wanted to shift gears a little bit here. When I don't think I saw the Cousin Oliver episodes of the Brady Bunch when they first came out. I was a little bit older than that. I'm younger than that now. But anyway, I identified. I did feel like I identified with you when you played David Baxter, because I was also a kid. I was also a kid with a high IQ. The difference was my dad had a higher IQ. And I think I
by the way,
told you,
David, that's true in my case too.
Yeah,
it's true. I did. I had a super smart dad.
No, don't. Yeah,
I think we all did. Yeah.
yeah. And
Well, that's not true.
right. And but I think I told you this once when I saw you play Glendon on Lucas Tanner. I remember saying to myself, I could be friends with that kid. And I didn't realize you were as much younger than me as you are. And at that time, of course, 6 years is a big deal. But
back then it's true.
You were very verbal, and you were obviously intelligent enough to carry on a conversation with 17-year-old me. So I was thinking, I would love to be friends with this kid. And then
now look at us
happening. But what I want, do you have any good Mary Tyler Moore or Lucas Tanner stories that people don't know?
I don't know. I played a lot of chess and Mastermind with Ed Asner.
Mastermind. Did you beat him?
Yeah.
Did you beat him with these things?
I don't think I ever did. No, I wasn't that smart. And also, if like an 11-year-old or 12-year-old is going to beat Ed Asner, I'm pretty sure he'd cheat. He'd be like, no, because youth and skill will always be undone by old age and treachery.
There you go.
Yeah, that's how I see my career at this point. So let's see. It's funny. Everyone thinks Georgia Engel was this sort of like diggy kind of filthiest mouth woman, hilarious. Totally not who you think she would be. Hold on a moment, Miles. What are you doing?
Hey, Miles.
Thank you. Okay. He's I don't know how loud he is on mic, but he's the girl next door drives him crazy.
Yeah.
Penny, the dog, but yeah.
Right. We gathered.
Goofball. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Second, by the way, second best move I ever made.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Love him. He's so great. Everyone should have a dog. Makes you live longer. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. It's weird little things like they kind of lean my head out of the window of the St. Louis Arch so they could get the shot better. And basically, it was just a stagehand holding me by the back of my shirt. A lot of things have changed, but I don't know. That's a whole show unto itself, I guess, right? I mean, all this crap that I've assimilated over all of their, after all of this decades of doing it, I don't know.
Do you think you were probably exposed to a lot more adult stuff than most kids, I would imagine. Maturity faster in some ways.
I love the story. Carol Lindley, who is she plays the singer in Poseidon Adventure, but she also had a pretty big TV and movie career. And so I did a movie with her with Susan Sullivan called Having Babies, Part 2. And in it, I play an adopted kid who is of, questionable mental stability. And his adoptive mom, played by Carol Lindley. And there's a scene where she, and we have to kind of be close to each other to talk. She's sitting on the bed that I'm supposedly sleeping in. And so she's sitting on the bed there, and she's wearing a skirt, and I can only really get to her knees, right? And the director wants us in, kind of get a hug going, right? So the director goes, so Carol, and he looks really uncomfortable. He goes, I got to get Robbie in a little closer to you. So can you just open your legs more? And she's like, yeah, no problem. She's pro, So she kind of does this thing and pulls me closer, and she looks at me and she goes, well, you're gonna have to learn about this eventually. So I don't know how many 13-year-olds have that particular experience. So yeah, I would say what I think I really took away from my young years is I understood respect and professionalism. Even among people who don't get along on sets, there's an awful lot of thank you. There's an awful lot of everybody understands why everybody's there, because making this thing is a huge pain in the ass. So everybody kind of puts everything off to the side as much as they can to make sure that this huge amount of money that they're spending on things moves forward. And I think as an adult, what it's made me do is kind of like with the artists I work with, I'm like, let's keep moving forward. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to, you know, and if I tell you that you're terrible, just understand that I mean it lovingly. You know, yeah. And I tell a lot they're terrible. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot like after you do a take where I'm like, so, okay, let's do this one more time. And my note is, let's pretend you know what the fuck you're doing, and then we'll run it again. Okay, that'll work fine,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, and I think this is also why so many people in general look at me and they roll their eyes and they go, "All right, Bob. All right, Bob. Whatever."
Here's a question for you, Rob. I mean, you've had a storied child acting career, voice work, musician. You've done quite a lot of things within the arts like that. Producing. Is there something that you're like right now, if you were drawn to producing, writing, recording, voice work, or acting tomorrow, you could start your next project? What are the four? What are the four really? What are the four really turns you?
It's always been music. Always.
Music, okay.
You know, I mean, I was a performer, you know, early. You know, I was putting on the hits to records at the, you know, I took Snoopy versus the Red Baron to kindergarten and, you know, acted the whole thing out. You know, so I was already kind of there. And, you know, I was singing along to the radio all the time. And my parents were like, I don't know, get him a guitar, see what happens. So then that, you know, and then from there, yeah, it's always been music. But also, I just like making things. So in 2006, I produced a horror movie called Stump the Band. And and it's on stumptheband.com. You can, you know, I think it's on YouTube for free. You know, so I mean, I didn't go to film school. I made a movie, and you know, I can now pretty much do pretty much any job on a movie set you need me to do. You know, so but mostly, you know, it's always been music, because music is the one thing nobody could ever get their mitts on. You know, when you're acting, you're saying somebody else's words, standing in somebody, and for real actors, they love that. You know, they like having the material to interpret. I myself like to interpret my own material, I guess, more than somebody else's. I mean, yeah, I'm unless, you know, somebody wants to put me in something, I'm kind of getting past the point in my life where I want to audition for things anymore, because I kind of hate what it's become, where like, again, you know, I didn't become an artist to work. So one of the things I loved about voiceover, or just in acting in general, was casting offices. Casting offices, it wasn't so much that you were trying to get a job, but if it was for a good enough job, you never knew who you were going to see there. And in voiceover world, it was a whole bunch of people that were on TV all the time in the 60s and 70s. I got in the 80s. They were all on TV in the 60s and 70s, but they weren't on TV as much, and they had all kind of discovered voiceover. So I'm going on auditions with people like Kenneth Mars, you know, who played Inspector Kemp in Young Frankenstein. Yeah. Like this level of brilliant character actor, you know, guys who used to exist but actually don't anymore. And the casting offices went away, and that's where I learned how to be a performer. Because more than learning your lines and standing on the stupid piece of tape with the guy running the camera, getting yourself to the point where you're ready to perform, putting your game face on, that takes a little doing sometimes. And to watch these people, how they did it, it was very, you know, it's sort of like they would tell jokes to each other and, you know, these incredible stories and all of this stuff, but it was really about getting into performer mode. And when that went away, I stopped seeing those people, and I was like, yeah, okay, now I'm in my house and I'm sending out MP3s, in my shorts
Yeah.
on a good day. And I'm like, that just to me is an assembly line. That's not really creative. And it happened on camera too, a couple of months ago. Not only do they want you to shoot your own auditions at home, without any direction, they want you to have somebody read the goddamn lines with you. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have a problem ruining my own life, taking an hour out of my time to figure out where to put the camera so you douchebags who are going to watch it for about 20 seconds are going to be satisfied. But now they want me to read. Do you want me to write it also? I mean, seriously, I produce movies. I'll do that for you also. So I don't like what it's all become. So I'm just, now I'm just like, I want to do my own shit. So I'm working on I'm working on 2 animated things.
Cool.
We're doing my record thing, working with whoever wants to, do any music stuff with me. I just did this record with this guy, Creamy J. He's Jeremy Cohen. He's a guy I've been playing music with for a really long time now. Yeah, and so he had a batch of songs lying around, and it was something else to do during lockdown. So it's one of those things where it's he and I playing everything, and
no, I found that. I found that on your Bandcamp too, and when I saw Creamy J, I said, "Oh my God, Rob is getting into rap music now." So I had to click on it to see what's going on. It was very much. It kind of the track I was listening to. I forget the name. I don't even have it written down here, but it was kind of like a Dr. Hook meets early 10cc. It had that kind of that dreadlock holiday, but with Dennis LePerrier.
That's amazing. By the way, Dennis LeCourrier.
I said LePerrier. I was just thinking hockey.
The voice of the 70s.
I know you said you modeled your voice after.
Well, Sylvia's Mother's another. That's another track that fits you perfectly.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah, you and I are both big Hook fans. I
love a huge Dr. Hook fan. No, it's funny. Something will be on the radio, and Allie will be walking through, and she goes, "You like this, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like the song a lot." She goes, "Yeah, I know. It's sad."
I just wanted to know who Mrs. Safrey was. I know what it is now, but when I was a kid, I thought, "What kind of a name is Safrey?"
Oh.
That's like Safeway.
Also, isn't it interesting that Mrs. Avery, like, she must have been a real person at one time, because it seems an odd choice for a songwriter to just go, Mrs. Avery.
Like,
I'm fairly sure that all the people on Let 'Em In, that guy's song, all of those people I think are attached to something. I know Phil and Don, they're all an attachment to a thing. So Mrs. Avery? Weird.
I love it though. I love it. It's great. So Rob, it's game day, and you're going to play tonight. Let's say you're going to get up on stage. Do butterflies still come into your stomach at all, or are you just so the fact that I can't wait to get up there and just put on this show? Because I know you're a consummate professional, and you're. But
basically, it's now going up and just hoping somebody gets it, and that's really about it. I mean. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But again, I also derive great joy from doing a show where after I finish every song, the audience doesn't applaud; they just go. They look at each other quizzically. They look at each other like. It's like an entire audience of confused Travolta. So I enjoy that as well. When speaking of the Andersons, we used to do, we kind of made what reputation we had by being the guys who said, "Hey, we'll play a midnight on Monday as long as eventually you get somewhere down the road. Give us something a little nicer, right?" So we'd play these like late night shows at like the Gig on Melrose, and we'd be putting the set list together before, and Derek would be like, "Okay, what should we open with?" And I without even looking up for my guitar, I'd be like, "Hair," which is a 6.5 minute long ballad that never rises above a gentle cook, if anything. And of course, the rest of the band would do that thing that I mentioned earlier, which is they go, "Right, Rob. Anyway, yeah." So, because I was like, they'd be like, "People will leave." I'm like, the right ones won't.
No.
Always, and that's my. that's kind of that's my attitude about all of this stuff. You know, I got that actually from the guys who did Mystery Science Theater when they made the leap from basic cable to Comedy Central. One of the guys higher ups at the Comedy Channel or whatever it was like, so we like the show, but there are so many references that we think people aren't going to get. And they went, don't worry, the right people will get them. And I've carried that with me.
And that's why I continue to do IPO, in case you or anyone else wonders, like, why am I torturing myself? And the answer is because the right people still get it.
Yeah, I know. I think IPO does a really good thing. You know, there's people that they would never be heard without it. You know, and one thing that I am at war with is out there in hard drives across the world are half-finished records that, for whatever reason, the person making it loses heart, loses energy, loses whatever. I say to you, just finish it, and find some way, even if you put it out on just Bandcamp and that's it. And that's and because of people like you, David, there is an outlet for these people who, like, because I don't think necessarily in the time that it's, you know, that it has gone on, IPO is not really for the hip new band. It's for people to go, I'm looking for an audience. And usually bands are discovered by other bands before they're discovered by anybody else. But with IPO, you get the added benefit of journalists that follow the thing around. It's value. It has great value. I may, you know, we have gone back and forth on seriously, we've gone back and forth on intent and all of that. But you know, Mark mentioned this guy Jeff Caudill that I done some stuff with. He was in this proto emo band in the early 90s before they even started calling it that. It was just a bunch of punk rock kids, you know, kind of singing about their lives, you know. And the group was called Game Face. And they had a bit of a following. They had a couple of records out, and they're still big in New Jersey. And so I don't know what significance that is, but they are. and he called his record, Here's What You Should Do, because when he walked away from Game Face, that's all he heard. People went, well, you know what you should do. Here's what you should do. And I think if you're the captain of the boat, there's always people that are going to be walking up to you going, well, I think we should steer the boat that way, though. And you're like, thank you. Point taken. I got it.
Always.
Yeah. Always. And that's awesome. I mean, what I'm always looking for in every situation is people that have the courage of their conviction. I do this with the artists that I work with all of the time. I go, I don't like this, but if this is really something that you feel must be there, then I will only fight you so much, and I will fight you a couple more times just to make sure that you have that. But still, I will eventually go, look, you believe, and as long as you believe, that's what's important.
We have, and yes, as long as I've known you, that has always been your position, and I appreciate it, and so do a lot of other people. You know,
I don't know if that's true, but yeah, sure. I can irritate the shit.
The ones that get it.
Yeah, the right ones.
The right ones.
Anyway, we have had a great time with you.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thank you.
And
no acrimony. No acrimony.
No, I didn't expect any.
The only asshole Beatles shit came from the people typing stuff. I mean, whatever. That was to be expected, wasn't it? Because, you know, what do you mean you said something nasty about the two living guys? Yeah, I know. The ones that aren't interesting. Okay, fine.
Rob, it's been fantastic. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I love you, man. You know, say hi to Miles. Chez says hi to everybody.
Oh yeah, well, yes. Miles says he's back in the house now. He's
good.
He was getting to be too much fun.
It's all good. But you take care of yourself, my friend. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks. Stay out of Facebook jail.
Yes.
I got 3 days still on my other 2 pages. I've been in for 30 because I had to tell Glenn Beck the truth.
It's great to see you.
You too.
Yeah. Have a great one. Stay happy, stay healthy. Hi to Allie. Love to Miles too as well. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
See you.
Bye-bye.
All right, David. Episode number 26 in the books.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Of course, we knew it was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I mean, Robbie's outspoken, incredibly interesting, has so much. There's so much that he's done. So yeah,
and that hour again went by like about 7 minutes. It felt like it was 7 minutes,
yeah.
and we were through it. But you're taking off tomorrow for New York. Tomorrow morning.
Yep.
And IPO New York starts Friday.
It's on Friday, and again, for anyone who's still watching, we thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, credit goes to Robbie, the best one yet. That's what she said. That's what she said too.
Yeah. But so we got that coming up next Wednesday. We've got George Boyder of the Head Boys, and people might go, whoa, are you kidding me? Yeah, they had One and Done album in 1979. It was fantastic, and they disappeared. Why? And we're going to find out next Wednesday when George Boyder joins us here in Material Issues. And who do we have coming up after George on the 24th, David?
We have Tony Poole from the great UK band, 70s band. Well, I shouldn't say 70s band because they're still doing it. But many of you may know them from their 2 great 70s albums, Starry-Eyed and Laughing. Any Byrds fan needs to know about them. I mean, their stuff has that same kind of really great, joyous jangle. And their voices just ring out in harmony. And they have a brand new record as well, and they can still do it. So we're going to speak with Tony about his career and what they're doing now and that whole bit. And after that, we don't have any guests at the moment, but we're talking to some people, and I'm sure we'll have a lineup for you. And obviously, on any day that we don't, it'll be Mark and me, and that works out just fine.
Yep. And if you guys are enjoying it, make sure you share on Facebook and let everybody else know about Material Issues, that they can come here to the Facebook group and join. Then they're always notified of our guests. You can go to materialissues.com, which is the link to YouTube. It's live there as well. You can, join that channel. But just please share it with everybody so more people can get involved with these fantastic guests that we're having on, because David and I are having a blast. And join the party. This is a fun Wednesday afternoon, evening. So David, have a safe flight tomorrow. Have a fantastic IPO New York coming up this weekend. Everybody can check that out. What's the website for internationalpopoverthrow.com?
Yes, internationalpopoverthrow.com. You can see the entire schedule, links to all the artists' music pages, the whole bit. So,
excellent.
Like I said, if you're in the area, we really hope to see you there. You will not be sorry.
Outstanding. Well, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you next Wednesday for episode number 27 of Material Issues. David, have a great night.
You too, Mark. Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.